they get completely outclassed and just beaten. But they're a good team.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. I don't think they got outclassed. They started off tough. Mark, I think I got a lot of stuff to say to you, but I'll keep it brief because I understand that other people would like to be on the call. The play calling from Sir was extremely original.
Mm-hmm.
The pass rush from the down lineman from Ohio State wasn't as good as it was against Clemson. I thought at some point in time they needed to maybe bring a little heat. And as much as I watched the game, I didn't see them do that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that we can credit, number one, first and foremost, of course, the Alabama offensive line. You know, this has really been at the core of Alabama's greatness since Nick Saban built them into a power in 2008, is the offensive line above everything else. You know, we can talk about great quarterbacks and wide receivers, but it's been front seven on defense, and the offensive line has been remarkable. Ohio State was missing Tommy Togiai, who is an elite nose tackle, who would really push that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they were the most effective against Clemson in pass defense because of one thing: pushing the pocket in Trevor Lawrence's face, collapsing it in front of him where he couldn't step and couldn't throw, and he was harassed and hurried. And, you know, that would Tommy Togiai have made up for 28 points? No. Would he have forced some incompletions? Probably. Stuffed some runs?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, he would have. You lose your best running back on the first play of the game? That's an issue. It's part of the game.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, I think Sermon really, going full circle, I thought, when he came from Oklahoma, I was thinking, what was Oklahoma thinking when they didn't play him more? Because that guy's a definite hard butt, right? I'm trying not to cuss on your show, so I'll keep it clean.
You can cuss all you want. So I don't want to get a misperception, and I'll just cut you off real quick, David. People can cuss on my show. I don't care. People come on here and cuss all the time. I just don't want to like it just flowing out of people's mouths constantly. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that. So, but he had these monster games, right? And I think we had talked before where he was in his zone. He was on pace, and I think that I didn't see the exact hit because when we're watching the game, and even when they show the replays, you don't see anything that particularly strikes them. I think maybe he broke his collarbone. I'm not for sure about that. But, yeah, that took a little wind out of the sails at that point in time. But the Ohio State offense was not clicking like it did against Clemson. But, man, Rucker, your tight end, nice one-handed catch. Great one-handed catch.
Sure.
And I thought, man, these guys are going to stay in this. And then things, I don't know, along the way kind of fizzled out. I don't know how to say it. And then when they ran the ball on a fourth down play, I was like, what could you possibly have been thinking about? You're one of the best offensive coordinators in the game, and you're running it to Master Teague, who's not a Blazer. What was your thoughts on that when they pulled that play?
Well, I thought in this day and age of college football, if it's not, unless you are a dominant team over your opponent that you can overmatch, you need to throw the ball in that situation. That was like a long 2.5 to 3 yards. That's a long way to try to guarantee a game. And it got stuffed. What happened was it looked like he was supposed to have a lane off right tackle. It wasn't there. And then as soon as Master T tried to bounce it wide, he was toast because exactly what you said. He has, according to Ohio State beat writers that I have on here, he's supposed to have some of the best speed on the team. I don't really see it, number one. Number two, even if he does, it must be once he gets going. He's not a change of direction guy at all.
He's a big cat. I mean, he's physically, he's got good stature, right? He's a big dude, but and Mark, you know this as well as I do. Like if you put somebody in a 40, somebody's initial burst from that 0 to 5 or 0 to 78 yards versus the entire 0 to 40, those are two different things. Like when people talk about quick and fast, quick is not the same as fast. But I just thought, I thought Master T, when he got in the game, he ran hard, he played well, and I think that was a poor play call. And you know, I told you before about some friends, and we were texting back and forth. I was like, "Why were they thinking about when they ran the ball on fourth down?" It's like, at least let Justin Fields back up and throw it. And if he can't find somebody open, at least he's got the wheels to get the first down. I felt like that was a crucial play. I mean, what are your thoughts?
You're talking about the Justin Fields play in which you lost me there. I'm sorry, David, at the end.
No. Let me repeat that. When they handed it off to Master Teague,
sure.
And you said he bounced it outside.
Yeah.
I thought the best way to go on that was not to run the football, but to back up and
sure.
pass, even like a tight end drag play. Man, that Rutgers dude is extremely impressive. I can't believe that you would never find them open.
Yeah, well, like I said, when he asked me the question, they should have thrown the ball, and it's easy to say it right this second, but I felt that way. It's just a long way to run against that Alabama front. I don't remember what it was. I think it was 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 yards, something in that range.
Yeah, I think that's too much to ask for. And then I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to let somebody else jump on the line. But man, that Devontae Smith, he is an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
To be diminutive as he is, he's not a big guy.
Yeah.
He's very thin, but he is so elusive. Like, wow, I just, you know, I thought it was a Notre Dame problem.
No.
I think it's a college football problem.
Yeah, it certainly was this season. Now, we'll see if Alabama can maintain this kind of dominance next year. They didn't win it, of course, last year, but for this particular season, they're far and away the best team. And they're going to be back next year and probably be they're going to be one of the best teams, no question. Will they be the best team for sure? We shall see. They lose a ton of talent, but they replace it and will reload like they always do. Now, a comment that you just made, and I'll put this together with something that David Greenshield said that slipped my mind, was Justin Fields was very effective running the ball, and I believe, as most people do, coming into this game, that they didn't want to risk getting him injured, so the run game with Justin Fields wasn't going to be part of the game plan. But when they got a little bit desperate, during the drive in which they cut it to 38-24, and it was going to possibly be a game at that point, he started taking off with the ball, and in particular one play where he just completely duped two Alabama defensive backs. Now we're talking about fast, quick guys, and he just gave them a jab step, and he was gone right by him and picked up 35 or 40 yards and ran a couple times effectively. And I thought at that point, I was like, you know, I don't want to put the kid at risk. And obviously this wasn't part of the game plan, but man, this has been missing, and they just didn't rely on that. And that might have been very effective. It was certainly 4 or 5 times.
And see, Mark, and that's why I was alluding to back to when they ran Master Teague. Like, let Justin Fields back up, and if he doesn't see anything, then let him take off. Now, I felt like if you have a 5-yard drop, so you're looking at, instead of a 3-yard gain, you're looking at an 8-yard gain, he definitely could have got that. And why not give him the opportunity to do that? I just like, this is a offensive coordinator or maybe Ryan Day, jumped the call from the offensive coordinator. I was like, this makes no sense at all. And like we're just stewards of watching college football, right? You are much more analytical than myself. But in watching this, I was like, man, that just doesn't make sense. And the other thing, like, I feel like Ohio State's defensive backs, even though people had their words against them, I definitely would have played man on that. Alabama receivers, and here's why, Mark, because they're going to get their yards, but why do you want to let them march down the field easily, and then you get in the red zone, and Ohio State cannot stop them in the red zone? So at least give your defense a fighting chance. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that what most defenses need to do against an offense like this is, okay, this is just very simple to start out with, is that you got to stay with what you do well and what you know, but you can't show them, be limited to that in terms of what you show them. You need to mix it up and provide some different looks and mix up the blitz packages up front and the coverages. But I understand that their thought process coming into this was, we're going to play soft and make Alabama take forever to score, and then you hope for penalties, you hope for sacks, you hope for a negative play, a dropped pass. They're not dropping passes. They're not going to miss on too many throws at all. They're just not going to do those things. And then, as Herb Street talked about many times, play red zone defense. I think you could do that at times, but you could mix it up and get Alabama guessing as to which defensive approach on a particular series you're going to take. But when you've got athletes, like Ohio State has athletes, and David, when you get off this call, if you care to do this, you could clean up a lot of idiotic comments that I'm reading in the live chat. But anyway, like somebody made an idiotic. Somebody made an idiotic. Some moron made a comment about Ohio State's not a top 10 team. Well, if Ohio State's not a top 10 team, then we've got Alabama number 1, and then we've just got 9 blank spaces, and then we start at number 11. I guess that's just a stupid comment, man.
Mark,
because
man,
they have an NFL team. They have an NFL team out there. So
sometimes I get frustrated with the side chat because there's so many people in there that they're not really there to talk analytically about football. They're there to pump their chest and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. They may be on altered states, See, that's why I like you, John Sarian's cool dude, Jordan Bowman, Cheryl. I mean, but there's a lot of people in there that they don't really know anything about football, and they're just blah, 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 blah.
Well, if you're a fan of a particular team and they win a championship, certainly I know that this, for a lot of people, is like the greatest day of their year. And that's great. I'm not demeaning that in any way when I say that. I just think that generally too many people they gain too much self-worth from how well their team's doing. So
when they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And I just don't get that. So I just don't get that. I've rooted for really horrible teams my whole life. And, that doesn't reflect upon me. It's just the teams that I've chosen to root for. And sometimes they've been really great. And that's fun to watch. And I'll celebrate the championship. But it's no reflection on me as an individual. But, so it's just kind of interesting as a sociological kind of study to sit back and watch that.